Attention. Welcome to the Different Spectrums podcast. We dive into the wild world of mental health discussions. Get ready for profound talks, a sprinkle of humor and sarcasm, and a touch of colorful language. Just a quick heads up, our show reflects our individual opinions, which may not align with the standpoint of the podcast, our featured guests, or any related corporate entities. Our mission? To illuminate through laughter and satire because everyone needs a good chuckle. Chill out and don't stress over the small stuff. Legal troubles? No, thank you. Cancel culture? Please spare us. We'd rather keep this space lawsuit free. So buckle up, have a good time, and join us as we navigate the vibrant realm of mental health on the Different Spectrums podcast. Hey everybody, we back again.
Hey, we're back. We're live.
I'm Spencer, your co-host, and of course we have our licensed clinical therapist, Naz.
Bald-headed Dr. Nas.
Remember, don't take us too seriously.
Or do. It's completely up to you.
There you go. Also, don't forget to romp those likes for us because we'd really appreciate it. All right. So today we have a very special guest. Our guest is a community leader, organizer, and advocate for youth empowerment and violence prevention. He's a co-founder of the Agape Movement and the Minneapolis BAM Project, two initiatives dedicated to fostering healing, mentorship, and positive change in the Twin Cities. Through his work, he's been at the forefront of building bridges between communities, reducing harm, and creating spaces where young people can thrive. Please welcome Marquise Bowie.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir.
Good to have you. Good to have you. Yeah. And today we're not going to be doing like our usual podcast where we have like a movie or a show or anything like that. We're just going to get to the nitty gritty. And we're just going to be talking about community. We're going to be talking about certain things that are happening, especially in the Twin Cities, that can affect the people that are actually living in the South Minneapolis area. So I think that this is going to be a really great discussion. Naz, anything before we get into it?
I got to talk to him in pre-production. We're going to talk about some real stuff, some real shit, to be frank. There's not a better word. And we're going to talk about what's been affecting folks there, but specifically folks that are from there, and what's going on in police, this, that, George Floyd, and also just how this affects Black folks in general. So we're going to have a good talk today. This will be a good educational thing. And for those of you that want to skip to just neurodivergent autism stuff, this is probably something that you should listen to and take a seat. So don't skip on this. You need to hear this. I know ADHD and all that gets in the way. This is a time to sit and learn, to hear from other voices than all the ones that we've already had. If you sat for the other voices, other white-based folks, right, some Jewish folks, some Hispanic folks, some Asian folks, you should sit here for this brother right now. So show some respect. Let's hop in. Let's have some good time, but also let's learn some shit. Whoop, whoop.
Whoop, whoop.
There you go.
Whoop.
Hey, got it.
Hey, there you go. Yeah.
Man, I've been saying that for a long time, bro. It has some street undertones to it.
Okay. We're going to have to get into that.
Hey, we
That's my old life, man. That's what this talks about, man.
Oh.
Okay.
All right. Hey everyone, have you been looking for something to help you when you feel extra fidgety? How about when you have a sensory overload? Well, I'm here to introduce you to the Oh No Fidget Roller. It helps me regulate and also feel at ease. The Oh No Roller comes in 5 different materials, including plastic, aluminum, steel, titanium, and silicone. You can use our code DSP10 to get 10% off your order when you visit onoroller.com and get your roll on. All right, and we're back again.
Hey, we're live. That's it.
Okay, there it is. Yeah. So, Marquise, I actually met you at an event my girlfriend was help hosting down at George Floyd Square. And you gave me your card. I have it right here, actually. And one of the things that you say on there is that you are a tourist interrupter. of the George Floyd Square. Can you get into what is a torus interrupter, and then also how'd you start? How'd you start getting into that?
Really just having conversations, man, with people to why they're coming into 38th in Chicago now. Prior to George Floyd's murder, you really couldn't get people to come over there because of mental health issues, substance abuse, gang activity, and homelessness. And it's interesting how a murder took place in 2020, and now everybody from all over the world wants to come there and pay respects, quote unquote. And I don't think there's nothing wrong with that in itself. But looking at how the community is looked and hearing what the businesses are saying and the people that are from that community, they don't really see that it's actually benefiting our community. As we were on a break, I looked at, just to check my phone, and I saw today that, it's businesses that are suing the city of Minneapolis because of what's been going on over there for the last 5 years, and nobody seems to be really caring about helping our community. So that's when the tourist interruption have come about. Now seeing that it was tour buses of people coming over there that are in Minnesota for trainings, conferences, and they're telling us that they're coming to pay respects, but nobody really supports the businesses over there. So it was good to see you and the group that you had actually in the coffee shop because that's
Yeah,
support, and that's what support looks like to us.
Thanks. How long you been doing this, brother? How you just started last year or two? How long's it been going?
No, officially, I've had this title for like 3 years, but I've been doing it for the whole time that George Floyd's been murdered. Because think this is what brought us out of the house from COVID. So you start seeing a bunch of people that really were popping up over there in protest mode, and it was good. But we were seeing a lot of people that were coming over there setting up tents and selling hats, shirts, masks, giving away free food. Yet they were walking away with buckets of money. And then hearing later how people made upwards of $40 million and started their nonprofits, and really none of that money really came back to the community.
Okay. Wow.
So I would love to know, just going backwards in time, before the murder of George Floyd, for you, what was the area like? What was the area like on Chicago for you, and how does it change from then to now?
I mean, prior to George Floyd's murder, I was literally just getting out of prison from doing almost 12 years in federal prison. July 19th to be exact of 2019, I got out of prison and I stayed away from the community just because I knew it would trigger me in some way,
Yep.
seeing that I did all that time for the community. So I'd say September of 2019 is really I really start getting back into the community. I went to all the parks that I grew up with, from Powderhorn to Phelps to Central, just to volunteer and be of some service for the community. And fast forward to May 25th, when George Floyd got murdered. I mean, prior to that, you really couldn't get people to come over there. I mean, you had some businesses over there that was like really trying to get people to come support the businesses. And we see a lot of physical people coming over there now, but it doesn't seem like nothing is being really done to help the community. And I don't even like to add the city into these conversations, honestly, because a lot of people ask like, what is the city doing? What is city council, the government? And I think we depend too much on them to do something, and they're part of the reason why we're in the situation in the first place, if you ask me.
Why do you think the people they don't spend the money? They don't go to the shops. They just hop on the bus, hop off real quick, take a couple photos, they feel good. Like, oh, we supporting black folk. Why do you think that is? What is it, just like they're just trying to be fake, or is it why is it even a tourist destination then?
I mean, just think of what we are doing May 25th. People could almost visualize what they were doing. They were sitting at home during COVID, and when CNN showed that video, maybe it was that day or the next day, May 26th, it was on repeat. So of course, people are in Minnesota for a bunch of trainings and stuff they got going on downtown. A lot of people are here to see the mall, Timberwolves, Twins, Vikings, or Paisley Park where Prince lives. Seeing that this is the neighborhood that Prince grew up in, that's one of the draws as well, because people want to be in that physical space because it's nothing like that nowhere else in the United States. And we've seen plenty of people get killed on video in Minnesota and all over the United States, but yet there's nothing like what's on 38th in Chicago.
Why do you think it's like that? Why do you think it's such like a big draw? Why do you think this is so substantially different than what me and you talked in pre-production about all these other killings that have happened over the years, everything that happened in 2015, when me and Spence just kind of did a podcast about on the Piece by Piece joint. Why do you think it's so different than the young brother we talked about that got killed by police in Colorado? The McCain boy. Well, why do you think this is so much different?
Because don't when them other killings took place, we were kind of in normal times. And the fact that we sat and watched that and watched that and watched that and the uprest that came along with it, we hadn't seen nothing like that since maybe Rodney King, Rodney during the Rodney King beating. And that's still fresh in people's mind because they're using it as a backdrop. It's all in political circles. And this the inhumane way in which he was killed, you know, that's why people paid a lot more attention to it. And it's really probably because of the COVID. I know a lot of people say the video, and it could be the video to a degree because of the inhumane way he kneeled on his neck. But we've seen Jamar Clark would get killed. We've seen Philando Castile get killed. We've seen Amir Locke, Dante Wright, Winston Smith, Sonya Massey, Breonna Taylor, Michael Brown. The list goes on and on. But we were kind of moving and grooving in our own thing, working, movies, uh,
Life.
flying across the world. Yeah, it was life. And the difference is that we saw that for the whole duration of the time, the whole 9 minutes and 26 seconds. And it just can't, that stuff you can't unsee once you see it.
Facts. Thank you.
Uh,
Um, so you talked about how just the government involvement it's not helping, especially since we have different people in the state that want to do different things to George Floyd Square, right? You
well,
talked about it with me. They wanted to make it like kind of like a shopping mall somewhere where it's like touristy, a tourist trap and things like that. And then you have on the other side people that really don't want that, like yourself, because at the end of the day, those businesses are going to be gentrified, and then it's not going to be community owned anymore. It's going to be people from outside of the community coming in and taking over. So for you, like what do you think are some things that the community can do now to help support it so that we don't have to see those type of things happen to George Floyd Square?
I mean, one of the good things I can say is that people that live nearby that were scared to come over there before, they now come on purpose now. Other times before, they probably used to come to catch the bus or go to the gas station. You would have people that would do stuff like that. But to get people to walk down the street and see, hopefully, some liveliness. I mean, I know the businesses have been talking from Terrence all the way down to the corner about some facade makeovers to make it look more appealing, man, and to make more lighting will make it more appealing as well to get people to want to come over there and actually spend some money. The coffee shop is doing all right, and it's the newest thing over there
Yeah.
because it's the coffee shop. And if we can get, Smoke in the Pit, Just Turkey, a couple artist places over there, King Demetrius, Wing Young Huey, this guy named Ace. I'm with this other movement called the Agape Movement. We're like the public safety advocates over there that try to keep it as peaceful as we can. And at one point, we were all working with the city as far as contractual wise to try to be the boots on the ground versions of Push for Peace, A Mother's Love. I mean, seeing what just happened a couple days ago when a little kid got killed over at Firewood Park over north. You need these people to have this relationship with the community that are not trying to just arrest our way out of it. So that's when we stepped in as the Agape movement to try to bring the peace when all the world was coming over there, and they really didn't know what they were stepping into. Even to this day, like people go over there, but at times it was people waiting over there to carjack, assault because they're trying to get their next fix. They're trying to get their some money for some shelter, and yet at times you sometimes don't see police driving through there at times for hours on end.
Are you seeing more police involvement around there now or no?
No, no. I mean, you pretty much see probably less. I know a
Yeah.
couple months ago, it was some officers. Matter of fact, and I was just reading this too. It was 2 years ago. It was two officers that were assigned to walk the beat over there, and you might see them over there every now and then, but they're not really connecting with the community like you would think. Because you popping up 3 years later is not a solution, especially if you're not talking to people. And at one point in my life, I hated the police, man, with a capital everything. But knowing that they're human beings just like me, and Chauvin and them made some terrible mistakes, man, I can actually have conversations with them now because I'm living a whole different life and I'm not as scared of them as I used to be when I was in my when I was in my mad dog stages of life.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then knowing that the former police chief Arredondo grew up on the same block as I grew up on, he was a guy that we respected, even though we didn't like him, but we believed that he got into it for the right reasons.
Okay.
Totally.
The Mad Dog thing, was that your book? Or I know you said something else about some 97 something. So I don't know what you got going on. You got some, I know Spencer's probably got that talking about later, but so
Yeah,
this is,
so this is just a book that I wrote, just unpacking my trauma while I was in prison. I know a lot of people think prison is about rehabilitation, but you have to do it yourself, man. And I know as I was sentenced to 175 months in federal prison, 2007, I just got to reevaluate myself, and I knew I was better than the situation that I found myself in. So I did everything I could to unpack the trauma and leave it there. So the last drop of Mad Dog is just a collection of stories that I wrote about growing up in this traumatic neighborhood, and I left him in jail. So Marquise Bowie can come out as a free man and live the life that I'm supposed to live and be what I needed at a young age.
love it. Love that shit.
Amazing. Gonna
Uh,
have to grab your book.
yeah.
Yes,
But,
sir. Hopefully,
and I want to
yes,
get
yes.
more. I want to get more into the book, brother. But what was something else you brought before? And I'm gonna kick it back to Spencer. You said something about 97. Something about you and
Yeah, so me and three other brothers, we've been doing platforms, speaking engagements about 97 years and counting. And three other brothers and myself that grew up together. Between us four, man, we had 97 years in prison. One of them did like 32, one of them did 30, my brother did 25, and I did almost 12. And we've been speaking at Sabathani. We did a speaking at Global Midtown, just about all the stuff that we've lost. Man, one of the brothers had stage 4 cancer. Was supposed to die in prison, and he's still kicking, man. And he was so eager to get out, man, to try to show what change looks like, man. And he's one of the pillars of the community, man. And it's an honor and pleasure to be with these brothers, man, because they actually get it, man.
okay.
A lot of the brothers that come out of them situations, man, appreciate life a little bit more. While you see some people that never went to prison are in prison on the streets because they're addicted, they're in relationships that ain't going nowhere, and they're just going through the cycle, this the motions of life, man, still stuck. And some of them in the 80s and 90s when the gang culture was just at its highest in Minneapolis when they were calling us Murderapolis.
Murderapolis. Jesus.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I go back to those days, unfortunately.
Yep. That was the time. That
Yeah.
day. I would love to talk about just your other project that you have called Minneapolis BAM Project,
Yes,
which is about mentorship.
yes.
Can you speak on that, and then also how you're taking your own life stories and then bringing those to the younger generation and helping them move along and make a better community?
Yes, sir. So the band project came about with me and one of the brothers I grew up with, man. We both grew up without father figures in our life. He lost his grandma when he was maybe two. He lost his mom when he's like 2 or 3. So he was raised with his grandma. And I remember back in the early 90s, we actually watched his dad on America's Most Wanted. He had escaped from a Sandstone federal prison in Sandstone, Minnesota. So, I didn't have a father figure in my life. And once I got out, man. We were just brainstorming to try to be what we needed at a young age, man. And I have a job at Roosevelt High School, so I get to be around a bunch of broken young people like myself, and I just take a liking to them, man. I see a little piece of me in all them, man. I was mad at the world growing up, man, for whatever reasons, man, and I self-medicated on alcohol, which was Mad Dog 2020 Banana Red, which was my color of choice, and man, it was something else, man. I look at old pictures, man. I didn't smile that much, man. I did not smile before that. Before colors and all that stuff came in, man. We all used to go roller skating, man. And
Yeah.
I was a happy-go-lucky kid, man. But once, I'd seen a movie like Colors and then Menace to Society and stuff like that, man. I just transformed and became those things that I saw.
Why do you
And
think that? Why do you think that is? Like young men, black, brown, poor, whatever, it doesn't matter. Why is it that so many of us end up just being like lost? Is it masculinity? Is it just the way the system is? Is the system broken? We were talking about that before. Is it just, we see that we're called dogs, thugs, murderers, rapists, and what's they're calling my people these days, drug dealers? Well, why do you think because you said mad. And I
It's a
remember my
combination of
professor
all
said
of
that. But she said, you grow up mad and you don't even know why. I was like, holy shit, she's right. I don't even know why the fuck I'm mad all the time, but I am.
them. It's a combination of all that stuff. And I know for me, as my mom's only child, man, staying on 37th and Park, my mom had came across this guy they called Blackjack. He ended up being my stepdad, and he was a big time drug dealer. Came up here from New York. He had this big country slang. I couldn't understand it, and I didn't like him. He was ugly, and he was in the drug game, man. So I stayed outside a lot, man. Being my mom's only kid, she really didn't have no boundaries. I didn't have a curfew, so I was out in the wild, man, around a bunch of, and I'm looking at players and pimps and drug dealers, and they looked like they had it going on, man. And unbeknownst to me, man, I thought that's what I wanted in life, man, and so much so that, I end up mimicking those things, man, and thinking that I could come up and get myself out of poverty, and I was feeding an emptiness within me with the wrong vices, man, because I wasn't getting that healthy dose at home from my dad or my mom. So I was out, me and a bunch of young blind leading the blind young brothers and sisters, man, just basically raise ourselves like a pack of wolves.
Fucked up in it. So, white folk, whatever, people with a little bit of money, not even that much money, even a little bit of money. Well, you should just know better. You should be able to make better choices. That's what they're going to say about your community, my community. Is you
Of
just
course.
make better choices and right, and just don't be a convict. Don't be a thug. Don't do stupid shit like that, and everything will be okay. You've made poor choices. That's what the world tends to tell us.
Mhm.
Is that true? Can we just make better choices? I don't want to play the victim card here, but then again,
I wish we could. I wish it was that easy, man. But you mimic the environment that you grew up in, and with a lack of resources, man, you're basically in survival mode. I know that's what it was for me, man. I was in survival mode. I used to literally walk in on drug raids, man. When our house was getting a drug raided, and they would walk me down the block to another family that I could stay with for months on end. But me being my mom's only child, man, I felt like me being around her would help her get off of drugs at one point, and it didn't work, man. I could just see one of my best friends got killed at a party, man. We were 15 or 16 years old, man. This is 91. And I could just see me being like a kid and play type guy, Urkel type kid, basketball. And then I could see myself morphing into old dog and menace, doughboy from Boys in the Hood, fake slash Nino Brown, gigolo, player pimp type wannabe type dude. I wore all the costumes, man.
Hmm.
It's not a costume that I didn't wear when it came to foolishness as far as trying to portray an image.
costumes, Spence. Me and you talk about masks, costumes, code switching all the time on this podcast.
Hmm.
But this is a different type of costume. And we talk about neurodivergent masking and how that can kill us, cause depression. This shit will really kill you, put you in a penitentiary.
Man,
Right.
man.
One last
I've,
thing. So what Spencer
I've
was
been to
saying, go ahead.
Stillwater recently. Sorry about that. I've been to Stillwater recently just talking with brothers, man. And there's been brothers in there since we was in high school, man, 30 plus years. And I'm like, wow, that could have easily been me, man. Easily.
So the question what Spence brought up is this thing that you got going on. How does it feel to know like you're like a cat that's like helping folks out, mentoring some youngins? Hey man, you messing up here, watch what you're doing, right? How does it feel interacting with that community like Spencer was bringing up?
It feels good, man. Being appreciated for some of the positive stuff, especially when I see the youth, man. Me being one of the faces at Roosevelt of authority, I see a lot of the kids now, man, and they treat me like I'm Tupac or somebody. They treat me like a rock star, man. Literally, when I see, and these are kids that I have been seeing, man. But when they see me, man, at like Phelps Park, I was just at Jimmy Lee yesterday playing basketball in St. Paul, man, and they treat me like this is something that they need. And I feel like if I can work my way up out of this situation, and it wasn't me working, it was by the grace of God, man. If I can come up out of this situation and be smiling now, man, I'm encouraging people that they can get out of that life as well. Because I was thinking it, man. If you Google my name, Marquise Bowie versus United States of America, you'll see a long indictment, man, that started quote unquote in 1990. And at 1990, I wasn't nothing at the time. I wasn't into anything really, but they obviously was watching somebody close to me, which was one of my older cousins that had been in and out of the system. So my last name rings in the system.
Okay.
So we talked about just speaking to the younger people, the younger generation. But how do you relate to them? How do you relate to the younger generation? Because that's a hard thing to do nowadays. Everybody's got the cellular phones and the Facebooks, but like, how does Marquise, how does he relate to the younger people today?
I just meet them where they are, man. I can relate to them on so many different fronts, being mad at the world, trying to self-medicate, and I don't tell them not to do certain stuff. I just put it out there, some of the consequences that's gonna come with it. And then they got to make the decision themselves, man. Either you want to be me working at Roosevelt as a security monitor, making 17, $18, or you can be another brother named Mike Walker that was in that same type of life that just got his doctorates and he's making 60, $70 an hour. And I tell him, man, just without a high school diploma, you'll make maybe $30,000 less just on a regular, just on that level in itself. And this ain't, you think you want this life, man. This ain't what you want, man. And at times when I'm at work, I'll get a call from a brother that's in there, and I'll be like, hey, man, tell this little brother about you at 16 and where you at now and what that's like, what that's been like for the last 20 years.
Do the
So I
kids,
relate.
it sounds like they listen, but like also we know as kids, young, dumb, and ignorant. I know I was. Sounds like
Mhm.
I'm not going to say that you were, but it sounds like you were pretty stubborn as well.
Mhm.
What do you do when the kids that like it's just hard to get through to? Because like I know I struggle with some clients to get through as like a therapist and a mentor to a lot of young folk. How do you handle seeing a kid going down the wrong path and knowing you can't do nothing about it and they're just gonna have to learn the hard way? To me, is gut wrenching. To you, I don't know how that triggers you, how that feels.
Yeah, it could get frustrating at times, but again, I try not to worry about stuff I have no control over. If I can, and I try to be as consistent as I can without coming off preachy, without without and I'll tell them like I don't think you guys are bad kids, man, because when we was out here doing it, we was man, we was actually doing it for real, and you know a lot of these kids are kind of just crying out for some type of attention because either you're gonna get it, you want attention, whether you get it good or bad, and unfortunately they're getting it in a bad way. But so just to acknowledge them, like when I'm seeing them, man, I see you, man, and try to encourage them in as much as I could without without burping them and holding their hand throughout the whole process, because a lot of kids right now are real entitled. So, for instance, I get a box, I'll go to this bakery and get a box of donuts at least 3, 4 times a week, and I'll sit them at the front desk at school. And they think just because they see them, they're supposed to get one. I make them work for one. And sometimes they'll see me leaving with 2 boxes of the 4 donuts because they hadn't earned them. No, you're gonna work for this, and I'll have some riddles and stuff up there, some little brain busters. It's not nothing hard, but you can work as a team, or you can figure something out, and you can earn yourself a donut. And that's the only way you're gonna get it. I'm not just giving you something just because you see it and you think that you deserve it. Bare minimum, I get good grades. You're supposed to do that. So I don't award stuff for your stuff you're supposed to do. You got to earn it somehow.
Before I kick this fence, I wonder what would help. I'm thinking now for myself. What would help you back then? Because I know that like this is being helpful for you, right? You're healing some of your old wounds, but also healing some other young brothers. But like, what would have gotten you? Because you sounds like you was going through a lot of different shit. So,
Yeah.
what do you think? Like someone like you could have said to a younger version of yourself, what would have got through to you? Maybe nothing at all. What would have planted a seed at the younger version of you?
I would say consistency. I didn't have any really. The only thing that I had consistency was dysfunction. And I would see, the men in my family, whether it was my mom's friends, my aunt's boyfriends, all I would see is the dysfunction, drug abuse, alcoholism, and that's all I saw on a consistent basis. I didn't see a lot of my friends having their dads in their life. I didn't see at the parks when we were at the parks. I didn't see my dad physically like that often. And I would say consistency, man. The fact that they can say they can see me Monday through Friday at school is consistent as some of them might see a black man, honestly, that's trying to do something positive.
Yeah, I can agree. I think that's one of the biggest things in the world that a man can do, any parent can do. Spence, I'm
Hmm.
not sure if you saw it. I posted a video the other day about it was that guy that you like, that Bethel guy, right, on his podcast, and he had this other
Yeah.
Hispanic guy on there talking about being a good dad. And like having a father makes a big difference, means a lot. Um,
Hmm.
and he was talking about being a dad and how simple it is. He's like, you got these fucking psychologists and therapy. He's like, just show up for your kids. Love your kids, hug your kids. He's like, I might not have no
Hmm.
money, but I'll buy you McDonald's, my son. I love you, my son. I'm gonna lie, I was bawling my eyes out. I sent it to my father. He's like, why would you send me this shit? Like, I'm bawling my eyes out at the house. I'm getting choked up now thinking about it. Because to see this Hispanic man talk about how much he loved his kids, shit crushed me in a good way. Because they know that my father, right, a convict, and I was told you I was headed for a horrible path, and he comes out, everything changes. And all of a
Hmm.
sudden, I'm out of special ed. And all of a sudden, I'm not getting into fights. And all of a sudden, I'm not beating up teachers. And all of a sudden, I'm not in detention class anymore, right? Everything changed when you get a little bit of love and consistency,
Hmm. And presence.
presence, right? And then people be like, oh, this or that, or right, you was poor. They say, who gives a fuck? When you got someone that loves you and shows up. So I agree with you. Consistency, presence.
I mean, my dad struggled with substance abuse for a while, man. And I remember I seen he had moved off, man, started doing a trucking company, man, and got himself together. And he would never come around. And I'm thinking to myself, and I wrote about it in my book, like it was as if he put me on a swing, but he never gave me that initial push to get me going. And it was almost like he escaped out of a burning building and basically said, "Save yourself." He broke up with my mom, but it felt like he broke up with me as well. And he just moved back to Minnesota maybe not even a month ago. And I went and seen one of my little brothers today. I just met my little brother right before I got locked up. I'm 49, he's 40. I just met him 2006. I got locked up in 2007. And I was just at a basketball game and I seen him playing basketball, never heard of him in my life. I got another brother from my dad too, and I'd known about him since he was maybe 3. He's younger, but I thought he was older when I met my now brother named DeAndre. And I just went and seen him today because it's my nephew's birthday. And I took him a couple dollars, man, and I told him dad moved back in town, and he was like, "Wow." He never he hadn't reached back, none of that type of stuff. And he had a nice trucking company, and he got 3 sons. But from all I know, he's never told any of us to come with him and learn the trucking business, where he could have passed down some knowledge and game to us to help us, run a trucking business.
Figure it out.
So he just sold it. Yeah, he basically said, "Figure it out yourself, and then come get with me." That don't make no sense to me.
Mm.
Yeah, it sucks.
Hands on is powerful.
Yes. Sorry about
Yeah.
that, brother.
No, you good.
So work in the community, it can be a very rewarding thing, right? But then it can also be something that's very heavy and like just it could be it's very tolling. And how do you keep from like just being grounded and just avoiding burnout? How do you do that
Yeah.
when you're just so far entrenched inside the community?
I look at where I was just at 6 years ago, and I look at what happened 7 years ago. 8 months before I was about to come home, my mom passed, and nothing that I go out here can compare with that. So I might have a bad moment, 5, 10 minutes, but I don't let none of this stuff bother me, and I don't take it personal because before this, I never knew most of the people that I'm meeting now. So if I never see them again, I'm not missing nothing. And being the only child, I'm used to being alone, so I don't really trip off that. I hang out with my wife. I'm at home. I'm in the community, and I'm giving my community some hope and inspiring people, man. And when my mom's friends, family see me, man, they're the ones that give me all the inspiration, man, because they like your mom will be proud of you. Because I never was really doing nothing to make her proud, and I think of probably all the extra stress that I gave her, not calling. Uh, we didn't have cell phones like that, and just not making her feel comfortable about me when I'm out in the streets and her not knowing what's going on. So this is uh this is something that I wrote down that I wanted to do, man. And I know people were asking me, well, how you gonna make money? Because nonprofits are really not about money, and I don't really care about that because I chase money, and it ended me in prison. And now I get to do something that I really like, man. I get to be impactful. I mean, the students that I've connected with that still connect with me outside of school. We've been out of school for maybe a week. I've seen some of them. I'll go to Target and I see them working at Targets and Family Dollars and White Castles, and they just, man, could you come to my graduation? And I end up being a girls flag football coach. This is the first year that they've done that for the high schools, and the Vikings put, I think, about 500,000 into it. So every team got 10,000, and I was a high school flag football coach for the girls flag football team. So they see me and they like, man, we appreciate you, man. Just the small little things with these donuts, and I facilitate a creative writing healing circle every other week. The next one will be on Tuesday across the street from the coffee shop. Some of them come to that. I'm also an art ambassador through the city of Minneapolis for the 38th Street District, so I can buy a bunch of supplies for kids to come and do some artsy fartsy type stuff. So I'm doing stuff, and again, just being something different in my community, and inspiring others that they can do something too.
So I don't want to gloss over some things. I want to ask some questions, but how often is these things that you put on? So something you just mentioned is on Tuesday. How often does that happen? Is that just every once in a while? Is that monthly, weekly?
Every other Tuesday in the George Floyd Square, we got this office space called the Agape office. It's directly across the street from the coffee shop where we was at,
Mhm.
and every other Tuesday, so to take a break. I took a break for like a month. I had to go out of town and get my daughter, and then I went to a funeral in Seattle last week. So I come home at the middle in the middle of the day, man. I come pray, wash my face, and meditate for a little second, man. But I wake up 2 hours before I gotta go anywhere just to meditate, read my Bible, and just pour to my faith, man. And I stay grounded and rooted, man, because hey, I'm gonna do some great things, man.
So this is every other Tuesday, you said.
Yes, sir.
And then what was the art thing? How often does the art thing happen?
So, as the ambassador, every couple months, I try to get some of the other artists that are in the George Floyd Square area to come together and brainstorm, uh, put some questions on the board to see how we can collaborate to make our neighborhood better and what's going on with their stuff so I can promote it and then report back to the city. Well, the puppet place needs this amount of money so they can do X, Y, and Z, and the Pillsbury needs this, that, and the third. So I'm the ambassador between the community and the city of Minneapolis, because a lot
Okay,
of people don't trust the city, but they trust me.
there you go. I want to make sure people heard the thing about flag football. They've made a big push in the NFL in the last 2 years. Uh, they have some awesome folks that are working it and running it. To amazing folks of color that are doing it. Black folk
Hmm.
that are putting it on. They're investing in a lot of these schools, Spence, and they're investing extremely hard in women playing flag football. I just heard about this recently on ESPN. It's fantastic. I'm glad you brought that up. I think it's a
Yeah.
great thing to keep a lot of people off the streets. School, community connection, mentorship, right? Sports is magnificent. It's one of the reasons
Yes,
why
sir.
I'm here today. One of the reasons why I went to college. Well, my father made sure he mentally kicked my ass if I didn't keep my grades up. But right, I was getting scholarships for football. Right, all my other friends, they went to the military. Right, we're poor. They all went to military. I went for football. So sports huge, huge. Gave me a lot of love. Got a lot of coaching and mentorship through that, man. It's magnificent. I bought my best friends from that. So I love that you brought that up. Hopefully, other folks that listen to this, if you do have any women that are interested in it, please go check out flag football. Huge exponential growth in the last few years.
Yes.
Yeah.
Question for you. I don't know, man. Spence knows I'm a fucking softie, so he done got me to cry twice now. You brought up your mom and you said she'd be proud of you, and I was like, ah.
Man.
Dude, does that mess you up or what? I don't know how connected you are to emotions, because I know you had to bottle up a lot of stuff to survive and make it, but like, there's no way people say your mother would be proud of you and you don't feel something in that soul of yours.
Man, of course, man. I mean, I was, again, my mom's only child, man, and my mom had a special place in my heart that nobody else can feel. And the fact that I got girls myself, I got two daughters and a granddaughter, and I feel like this is God's way, and they both, remind me of my mom, man. One of them goes Alabama State, so every year for the last 3 years, I'll fly to Atlanta take the Greyhound to Montgomery, Alabama, and then drive her back. And I got a 17-year-old that's a teen mother, and she ended up moving in with me last year. Her mom was kind of bouncing her around. We tried to do it last year, it didn't work out, and sent her back to where she wanted to go back where her mom was at, and then found out she was pregnant. And she called me some months later and said, "Dad, can I come move back with you?" And it's just about building, man. I mean, it's still kind of raw. She's been with me a little over a year. She's got excellent grades, but she still has my mom's attitude. My mom had a hard exterior, and I've had that. But I just cried 2 days in a row, man. Just on, I'm thinking
Soft,
I'm good. I heard a song, and I
soft.
just broke down. I had to call my wife, like, man, I listen to this song, man. And yeah,
What
I
was
mean,
this?
and it's okay. It's okay to do that, man. I don't think it's a stigma on men have to be strong, tough, don't cry, man. I mean, hey, I've done it literally 2 days in a row, and I'm like, whoa, something's going on, something about to happen, and I don't know what it is. Cleansing for the soul.
100%. Spence, go ahead.
Yeah. So what are what are some ways that people listening, our listeners, can help support your work or just get involved in a meaningful way? Not just something that they can do on the weekends, but just putting in some time and just helping out a community.
I would say they can go to our website, the Minnesota Agape Movement, which is one of the nonprofits that I'm a part of, man. And our motto is transforming street energy into community energy and trying to put the neighbor back into the neighborhood. And this is mainly in the George Floyd Square. They can also check a process of change. One of the brothers I grew up with got a corner store on 36 in Chicago, and he has a bunch of books in there, man, just to read. Reading was so healing for me, and then I started writing, and that's how my book came about. I was working with this professor in Mount Marty College in Yankton, South Dakota, at this prison camp. And 8 months out of the year, man, he would come by and do a writing workshop, man. And I did this for like 4 or 5 years, wrote some stories, and this was part of my healing process, man. I didn't know how that was, and then I feel like reading took me mentally somewhere else where my body couldn't go. So I was able to roam the world through books, man, just reading because I had all this time to kind of redeem it. And that's what I did. I redeemed it. A lot of brothers go to prison, start working out to come out looking good, buff, but they don't really have no substance to them. And I wanted to come out the opposite. I wanted to work on my heart muscle and my mind muscle. Those are muscles too, but a lot of people don't work on them. So that was really a part of my unpacking trauma. So I said to myself, why wouldn't this creative writing healing circle be able to work out here when I know in this specific area you have a bunch of trauma going on and a bunch of different reasons. So it's been working out, man, and I love it.
You're writing now. You made me write this pen. You think you're a white man now. Look at you. Okay. All right. I see you, white man.
Jesus.
I'm joking.
Reading used to be illegal for black people, man. And
No,
they
that's what I'm
say
saying. You think you're a white man now. You
on the
know.
house, some brother put it in the book, man.
Hey, we gotta have some laughs, man. This is an emotional ass podcast so far, dude. Jesus.
Yeah. Gotta have it.
So this right, I'm gonna stick on this real quick, and then I assume we're gonna pivot into more of your book. But I don't know, man. It's hard for a lot of men to put in this real emotional introspection, work, reading, writing. Right? It's easy to build up that hard exterior, like you said. Your daughter's got, your mom's got, you had when you were younger. All the dudes you probably knew, some of these badass little kids, good kids, sorry, that you're working with now. So how it's got to be hard to like write and to like read and focus, right? Because a lot of black folk, brown folks, a lot of us got some like mental health issues, dyslexia, learning disabilities, ADHD. Really hard to like read and write, man. A lot of trauma fucks us up when we can't read and write. I know I struggle with it, right? I tried to write a check today. I wrote it wrong twice. Then my dad took the pen from me, and his arthritis so bad, so he couldn't even write the goddamn check. So then I had to have the white man write the check. So it's a whole hilarious story of how many people does it take to write a check? 3. Besides the point. Yeah. So how did you work on this craft of like reading and writing? Like it had to have been hard.
I mean, it's a process. I mean, when you're confined, man, you learn to be patient, man. You're around a bunch of people from all different walks of life. you don't all get along, man, but you have to be patient because it's a line to a line to a line to a line. And I share that in my book. Like, for instance, it was 3 units that were in, and they'll inspect them every week and determine on how many infractions your unit has. That's the order you go to the chow hall. So the cleanest one will get first. And then they don't give you enough time between the first and the second and the third. So you guys are all rushing to the chow hall, and it's a line outside the door. You get in there, now you got a line to go get your juice, to go get your condiments. Go down, sit down, eat your food. Now it's a line to go and throw your stuff away. It's a line for the shower. It's a line for the email. A line for the phone. So you have to exercise some type of patience, man, or you'll drive yourself crazy. I mean, that's one of my things, and I know my wife be calm down, take a deep breath, man, just slow down, and then we'll make less mistakes. This is I get up, I live 5-10 minutes away from my job. I'll get up 2 hours before I gotta go anywhere, just so I don't feel rushed, so I can take my time and walk it through.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been programmed to be like that, programmed to get up like 5 some in the morning and just take my time, man, stretching, exercising, reading, do some push-ups, some jumping jacks, man, just to get my blood flowing so I can take my time and life is all about, learning and growing, and the more you learn and grow, the more you're gonna less mistakes you're gonna make.
So, right, this podcast is big on like neurodivergent folks. Trauma is a divergence. And like I was saying, he was reading, writing, and mathematics. It'd be really hard for folks. So patience. You talked about patience.
Patience. Go at your own pace.
How
And
does one
just think of sports. Think of sports, for instance. They say once the game starts coming to you, it's going in a different speed. I mean, look at Dwayne Wade. He wasn't the fastest. He couldn't jump the highest, but he was effective. And some of the greats, man. Once the game came to them, then it wasn't nothing you could do once they figured it out. The LeBrons, the Kobe's, the Jordans, the GOAT. I throw that in there.
Anyway,
You already know you.
I know. Dirk Nowitzki, he the GOAT. I know. I'm joking.
Slow,
Greatest
first,
white man I ever seen play.
magic.
So,
Once it starts coming to you, you're in the matrix.
question. So the biggest thing is a lot of folks deal with is right feeling stupid. Doesn't matter who you are, what race, creed, nationality, religion is. So I see a lot of poor folks like me, used to be, feeling stupid is hard. And so reading and writing, right, and trying to learn. I have a shirt in here from the Mark Lamont Hill, right? A big advocate, love him as a person, love him as a black man, love him as an advocate for social justice and rights, Palestinian rights as well too, not just American black folks. And the shirt says "Book Saved My Life," and I've been wearing it for years. Right? People be reading it and shit. And some people will dap me up. A lot of white folk look at me like, "What the fuck?" Like, yeah, bitch, you saved my life. Like, get my education, saved my fucking life. So I struggle, and a lot of us struggle with feeling stupid, feeling quote unquote retarded, feeling quote unquote special ed, feeling quote unquote, embarrassed. And like we stutter when we read and all this. So patience is key, but how do you grant yourself grace when you're really trying to write or read? How did you do that? I don't know if you struggle with that, but grace is really hard. Forgiveness is really hard for like a lot of our community. And then we hide under masculinity. So how do you go about grace for you? And like, how do you go about grace for like the kiddos that you work with?
I mean, we got to quit worried about what other people think of us. Think of the most important people in your life. How do they feel about you? That's what matters. What other people say about you, they talked about Jesus. They talked about everybody that done something great. So who are we not to get haters in life? If you ain't got no haters, you ain't doing something right. For real, for real. And hey, that's just the way it is, man. You got to get out your own way. And hey, I don't care if you did perfect. People still gonna have something to say about that.
Okay.
I got this only child syndrome, man. I know how to turn it off, and I know how not to care. Not that I don't care, but I really don't move according to how other people feel. Because when I was at my lowest point, it wasn't a lot of people reaching out to me, so I just try to ignore that.
So do your best not to care, but also not to compare yourself to others. Go at your own pace. Trust the process. Be patient.
Yes.
Okay.
And my sarcasm is a sword. I can kill him with kindness just being sarcastic. That's my weapon.
Jeez.
Minnesota nice right there.
You
To a
heard,
whole other level.
you heard him right now, FBI. He is a black man with a weapon.
Oh, my.
Oh shit! You know he ain't supposed to have no weapons now.
My
Jesus.
sarcasm makes him madder than when I used to cuss him out.
I know. Ain't that something? Ain't that something? You could yell at somebody, they'd be like, whatever. As soon as you use sarcasm, then they go like, fuck you. Like, oh, well, all right.
My weapon of choice, man.
Okay.
It's a good one. Not gonna lie, it's a good one.
FBI, he got no weapons. No weapons.
Just his words, which
Just his words.
they probably deem as probably just as dangerous.
I'm not gonna lie, right? Jesus Christ, Spence. That's the racist shit, but you're right.
Not more. To say the pen is mightier than the sword.
There you go. It is.
I'm gonna kick it back to Spence, but yeah, we might get into the book.
Yeah. So you talked about it. What for you? What is the title? The Last Drop of Mad Dog 3030. What is that, and what does it mean to you?
So the last drop of Mad Dog 3030 is kind of my alter ego, man. That's the name that I wore for about 16 years in the street, man. Just not caring about stuff. I was off that liquid courage, and it allowed me not to care. And once I really started unpacking the trauma, man, then seeing that I'm from the 30s neighborhood, that's where the 3030 came in, because it was Mad Dog 2020 is the official name of the drink. And I stayed off that liquid courage, man. But once I let it go and really start unpacking my trauma, man, I feel like I left Mad Dog in jail so Marquise can come out and thrive and live his life and live his best life. I mean, I'm 49, but I still feel like I got a long life ahead of me. And just as I'm playing basketball yesterday, they kept saying, "Who got him? Who got him?" So at 49, I'm still moving and grooving like a young folk, because these wrists is still young.
There you go.
All hustle type player. How did he get a rebound? I'm all over the court, man. I'm still a little quick. I'm not that big fast, but I'm still a little quick.
His Uncle Drew, man. This motherfucker's like a 13-year-old Kyrie out there just fucking over these kids.
Like, what the hell?
I mean, they look at me like this old guy, which I'm a middle-aged man, but I can move, man.
Middle age is pretty graceful right there, brother. Calm down. See, Mad Dog, middle age. So that Mad Dog, you left Mad Dog, and so now you're back into your youth where, right, you clean. I got you now. I get what you're saying.
They say age ain't nothing but a number, right?
Hey.
That's what they say.
Till you get your ankles broke, then you're like, yep. I'm not really healing as fast.
I'm a jump shooters and all around hustle player. I don't really try to go to the basket. It's too many feet under there.
True.
Fair. Yeah, that's really fair. Yeah.
True. No, I like a good foot play though, I'm sorry. He looked away too.
Oh, yeah.
He looked away too.
Exactly. This is what I have to go through on a daily basis. Daily.
Brother, I ain't gonna lie though, like real talk. When he said there's too many feet under there, I can literally feel my ankle snap. Like that shit hurt just him saying that. Yeah. Kryptonite.
I need to get my game older. That's the thing. I need to change, but it's fine.
The book, is it start off like young cat, or does it start off like just the kind of like when you were 17 or just coming up, going through all the shenanigans? Like where does it start? Where's the middle? How does it end?
So it's a collection of my first story, man, is about some angel, a lady that took me in, man, one of my best friends, grandma, when they used to raid the house, she used to let me come stay with her, and her and my grandma were best friends. So the first chapter, it's like 6-7 chapters, and the angel gets her wings. Her name is Mamie Washington, and she was my grandma's best friend on my mom's side, and her sister and my dad's mom, they were bus drivers. So I'm connected to this lady on both sides of my family. And she was just like an angel, man. I never seen her get mad. I never seen her curse. I never seen her do anything but love people, man. And she gave me something, man, that kept me going at times when I could have easily gave up, man. And that's how it starts the book, man. And I just wanted to capture that. And people wouldn't think that I had this softer side because I never really showed it. And towards the end, man, it's talking about my grandma, my dad's mom, and how my grandmother's death changed my life. And this was my dad's mom, how she had tried to kept, she was a bus driver. And so for me to try to see my dad, I used to have to go find her. And I used to always see her on the bus. She used to drive the number 9, which was going down 4th Avenue. And then I'd see her after the roller gardens because she would drive the bus from the roller gardens back over south. You know, they had one bus that would go over south on Lake Street, and then they had one would go over north on Plymouth. So I would see my grandma, this little bitty, short, powerful lady, to get everybody on the bus to be quiet. And I'm like, man. And that's how the book starts and that's how the book ends. And in between, you have stuff like Black Thought, talking about like when Donald Trump was a president. I got stories that you could read and you'd be like, man, you would think it was right now, but it was 7, 8, 9 years ago. Uh, so you got everything in between there, man. Just my street life, my when I was lost. Uh, I got something called a resurrection about how people think they're going, what they think they're going to happen when they die. Arrested Development is just about people not growing.
Stunted.
I got a story called Gigolo, man. It's just about my gigolo life. I thought I was a player, and I was basically just a gigolo, Deuce Bigelow, man, just out here thirsty as ever, man. Super thirsty.
You remind me of life. Jang-a-lang, jang-a-lang. Hold up now, man. Calm down, dude.
Looking for love in all the wrong places. I tell a story about how, in the drug game, man, I was actually trading drugs for older women. So I was accidentally getting raped on purpose. And I said, I'm part of the Me Too hashtag too. Oh. You know what I'm saying?
He said, me too.
Oh,
No, we're going to have to redact that shit, brother. I'm joking.
No, I'm saying, imagine older women trading off sex to younger shorties for drugs.
Yep.
Ain't no consent.
Hey, that's your life, bro.
Right.
No.
Yeah.
And most people won't share nothing like that. They'll be too ashamed of it.
Yeah.
But
no.
I know a bunch of young brothers that probably had their first sexual experiences through a crackhead. Imagine that. It was real.
So
believe
if you wait a minute before you get into it.
No, go ahead.
If you could hand yourself your book, your younger self, your book, what chapter would you tell him to actually read first?
Please don't say gigolo.
Please
don't say gigolo.
Don't mess with Janine.
Let me see.
Spencer.
I think I got a story about a Black Klansman. It's about basically telling a young black male like myself to slow down, man, and get into them books, man, because education will take you a lot further than some other stuff, man. I'm 5'6". I'm playing basketball thinking that I might have really had a shot at the NBA. And I believe maybe if I would have had the coaching and the push, I probably would have. My brother that I went to school with, he was maybe 16, so he went to the NBA. But looking at a Muggsy Bogues and Nate Robinson, Earl Boykins, I probably could have had a good shot. But I got distracted when my best friend got killed, man, and I just really went down here, man. But I never gave up playing basketball, even throughout my whole foolishness. I would always make time to go because that was part of my healing as well. Sports, football, and survival mode to have you just doing a bunch of different stuff, man. And I never was really out there starting trouble or nothing like that. But if it was on, it was on. So I was always the peacemaker in situations, and people probably gave me a pass because I played basketball, because they'd see me somewhere they never thought they would see me at a gym over north somewhere, knowing as a South Sider, you ain't supposed to be over here. So I probably got a pass doing stuff like that because I wasn't really a trouble starter.
So yeah, education. I've been preaching that for years and years and years. Education. Spence, I'm not sure if you had a follow-up question, but I wanted to get into something he talked about in pre-production. He talked about on how the system isn't broken and how the system is actually working the way it's supposed to work. When the hell did you mean by that? Because I think education is the way out, but I also think that the government specifically fucks us over to where people in our communities don't get the education that they need and deserve. And I feel like you're going to go on a tangent about many things. So why'd you say, the system's working the way it's supposed to? What does that mean?
I mean, it's doing exactly what it's designed to do. I mean, I'm reading this book right now called Punish for Dreaming. It's about a young lady named Latina L. Love. She's an educator in Atlanta, and just knowing that the Reagan administration were taking away all the stuff that Donald Trump is taking away now, knowing that they have these statistics that by the time you're third grade reading, they'll know whether you're going to end up in prison, and the fact that they prisons mimic the high schools, the buses, the bells, and they signed it up this way. Rockefeller had something to do with it, and they didn't. I mean, the fact that it was illegal for black people to read, and they try to hide all this information from you, but we're overcomers, we're overachievers, man, and we're gonna find a way to get out of no way. And just to read books about Frederick Douglass, how he taught himself to read, and actually he tricked the slave owners' kids in order for them to read to him, so he can learn how to read.
Okay. So,
So
why is the system doing this? Why keep black folks, brown folks down? Why do this? Why keep us uneducated? Why break up families? Why introduce drugs into our communities? Why take away our education? Well, why?
probably because it's a business. America is a business, and they want it this way so they can feel inferior to everybody else. When in reality, black people created a lot of stuff that they don't get credit for, but they ain't gonna tell you that. If you don't know, it's a saying that if you can trick them, you can beat them. And black people are really the only race that's going through what we're going through the way we're going through it. Everybody else gets help, but they'll tell black people to pull yourselves up by the bootstraps. And in reality, what you ain't got no boots to start with.
Facts. So I think it's the inferior thing, and then so you keep black folks down because you're really scared that they're going to take your place, right? A lot of white folks, a lot of folks with money, right? Even some folks with color. I know a lot of Latinos went against their own fucking rights recently in the last election, and now chickens coming home to roost. I'm not going to try to be mean right now, but what the fuck did you guys do?
A bunch of people did that, man, and they would rather have this guy in the White House than a woman. I just think a lot of people that think like that. A bunch of Somalians voted for him, and even more black people voted for him.
Yep,
it was like up 20% or something like that. It was some crazy.
Wild.
Yeah, I was like, holy shit.
They're looking at the Democrats like they've had us in a chokehold, and they're just thinking we're supposed to vote for them, and they ain't really showed nothing as well.
Yeah.
And where is the middle ground now? I know Cornel West tried to be independent, and he probably should have got more votes. I mean, the Bernie Sanders type people, where they at? The Republicans have went so far right that they flipped on to the other side. The Democrats have went so far left that they're lost. Where is the middle ground? And I try to focus on humanity because I don't think the system, the government is going to save us anyway. We have to do it as people that are walking different walks of life if we want to actually do something better for the future.
Yeah. And honestly, it's one of those things too, is that I think a lot of these politicians, like, they just go too far deep into trying to get relatable to the voters. And the problem is that younger people aren't reading as much. Their attention span is down. So now you have to do the same thing as a politician to get on their side. And unfortunately, when we look at actual politicians who are educators, people who will actually teach us something or know more than us, I don't think we're going to see that anymore, because now everybody wants to dumb things down, because that's just where we are as a place in the United States.
We're getting a lot in what do they call that? Anti-intellectualism, Spence. And so
yes,
we're getting away from that, and it's really hard. And we try to relate to like kids. Kids don't even fucking vote.
No.
And so you dip into that pool and you're going super left or right or whatever. It's wild politics. So me and you were talking about how it's hard to be on either side, right? And we'd like to be in the middle in humans. I saw something recently, and maybe me and Spence will talk about this in a different pod, but there's this white lady, Spence, that teaches kids called Miss Rachel. And she recently come out doing this thing. Have you ever heard of Miss Rachel, dude, or no?
No. I'm going to look it up now.
So she's a social worker that happened to she's super internet famous, and she teaches kids stuff for free on YouTube. She makes millions and millions and millions of dollars, and kids love it. It's educational content. But recently she come out, Spence. People are turning on her because she did a video with a young amputated girl that was blown up in Gaza. And so she did a little video and she says, I'm just for the kids. I'm for humanity. I'm for humanity. I'm for the babies. How can you be against the babies? The babies are innocent. He talked about this earlier. The kids are innocent. I was innocent. He said he was innocent. As kids, we are all very precious things. And then the world turns us. We become angry, this, that, blah, blah, blah. So it's interesting the world even turns on someone like her, a white individual, as being like this horrible anti-Semite and all this now, just for trying to make sure that we're not blowing up babies. It's interesting.
Mr. Rogers was alive today. He'd also be hated
because
he did a lot of social things that people were like, what?
So, yeah.
It's amazing how we hate people.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
I mean, but that's the unfortunate thing. That's where we're at right now, but it's coming from the top down. I mean, if our leaders of as far as authority that are running the United States are hating people, then that's going to trickle down to everybody else. Unfortunately, we can't allow that to happen.
Yes, I was quiet, but I was definitely agreeing to you 100%. We teach this hate or disdainment for our fellow humans. We teach that empathy is a curse. We teach that you talked about earlier, crying, or right, being happy or grateful, right? This big empathy, this big emotion is weakness. How's it weakness? It's strength. You reading will be looked down upon and getting educated, right? Just because you've been in prison, right? People will shit on this. People will shit on this podcast. Mm-hmm. Even though we're trying to help and promote you, the community, to help people out in there, art, reading. We're talking about magnificent things, and people will say horrible things about this. Or they'll say we're ignorant or we're dumb ourselves. It's guaranteed to happen. Like you said, if you're not doing something and people's not hating on you, you're not doing it right. It's just amazing on how the world is, though. You try to do something good and they still shit on you. So
bad news travels faster than good news. It's
correct.
Gossip.
Correct. So I want to pivot on something. So you have this wound or scar, or let's say this scarlet letter on you, which is incarceration and all that other stuff. You talked about wearing some of these things as a badge of honor. How does one go about wearing this as a badge of honor, right? This is something that people normally are ashamed of, right? And they don't reform, blah, blah, blah. The world looks at you a certain way. How do you wear this as a badge of honor to go in the community and help out? Isn't there like shame of all the sins that you've committed?
Not necessarily. It shows that I've been through some stuff and I overcame. I mean, if you've never really had a test, how can you give a testimony? I mean, these are the better stories. I mean, because I walk in some places, man, and I'm probably the less educated, the less money, but yet I get treated as if I'm one of the people that's actually in there to try to do something positive. People flock to these good stories, because if you don't have no story to tell, then hey, how can people feel like they can relate with you? People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Or how much you've been through.
Right.
They want to know, what do you have in common with me? Not more than just you look like me, but can I be you? Right?
What have you overcome?
What have you overcome? Question. Now I'll kick it back to Spence. If you were a little boy right now talking to you, would you be proud? Would you be like, I fucking love this guy. This guy's doing this all. Would you be proud of you right now as a little kid? Would you look up to this man that you are now? Yeah.
Me or Spence?
No, you. Spence, his little kid probably been. This guy's a piece of shit.
Yeah, he's already ashamed of me. It's fine.
Yeah, dude.
Course, man, I'm gladder about the what I'm becoming versus who I was, man. And I'm glad I don't look like what I went through. I mean, I feel like the roads that grew into concrete, man. Something that Tupac said, man. He did a bunch of great work in a short amount of time, man. And
that's why they killed him.
Right. I get to look back, man, and I see some of my brothers and sisters that are really messed up, man, through mental health. Some have passed, some are in wheelchairs, and it's a sad situation, man. And I don't look down on them like even like today, matter of fact, I'll go grab a bunch of donuts from this bakery, and if I see a little homeless encampment, I'm pulling over and I'm like, hey man, have y'all had something to eat today? And I'll pass them out to them, man. And a lot of that stuff goes behind the scenes, and nobody sees that side of stuff. And I don't. How can we help these other human beings, man? I don't care what their living situation is. How can we help them?
Why you? Why is it you to help? Why is it you? Why have you taken on the role?
Why not?
Perfect answer.
Why not? So much is given, much is expected. I'm too blessed to be stressed.
He sounds like Coach Prime sometimes. You know you sound like Coach Prime, right? You know you sound like Deion Sanders sometimes, right, brother?
He got the glasses too. I've seen him in the glasses. He's just like, all right, young boy, let's go.
Go ahead, Spence.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I've had all my questions, but please tell us, where can people help support? Where can people find you on the socials, things like that? Yeah, let us know.
So I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, I'm on LinkedIn. I do a little bit of TikTok and Marquise Bowie, Brother Bowie. Uh, you can get my book on Amazon if you're out of town. If you're in Minnesota, you can put up on 38 for Chicago. I'm actually doing a book signing on Saturday from 2 to 5 on 3741 Chicago. I have some food over there. This lady that I cater from, she got some nice chicken fried rice and probably gonna have some donuts and some other little snacks. And I'm gonna be with my daughters, man, helping them. One of my daughters wants some community service, so this is a way that she can take this letter back to her school, show some community service that she's doing. And for me to go see her this year and pick her up, and she had a creative writing class uh, poster on her wall showing that she's doing something that her dad is doing. That's it right there. You get to hang out with them, man. That's the beauty in that, man.
We will make sure to promote you as much as we can. Spencer's going to tag you on a bunch of stuff. I'm going to tag you websites, your book, blah blah blah. We're gonna do our best to promote this, but also the community.
Yes, sir. Let me tell you this: the Minnesota Agape Movement, man. This is our logo for that. We're out here transforming street energy into community energy, man, and just being the ambassadors, man, of the community, man. It's important that we do it because in the neighborhood where we're at, ain't nobody gonna change it but the people that are there, man,
Facts.
that are really there. We're not chasing money, and we haven't been having a contract for maybe 3 years, man. But through collectively working on 9 to 5s, man, me and three other people actually pay like $2,000 a month for the rent, so we can still be a visible force in the George Floyd Square. So some of us got 2, 3 jobs, man, just to help pay rent apart from our, own places where we live at.
Yep.
That's the crazy part.
What would you say? Appreciation for that. What would you say to anyone struggling, Black, brown, Hispanic, folks in your neighborhood, whatever it is? Who would you say to anyone struggling? What would be your thing to tell anyone struggling to exist, to live, to stay educated, the doubting themselves? I got people that are going to be listening to this, brother, that are thinking about suicide daily. What would be your word of advice to the people that listen to us, just from you? You as a person, you as a man. What would be your advice to them today?
I mean, whatever situation you might find yourself in, man, it's only a temporary situation for the most part, and this too shall pass, man. And I remember talking to one of the guys in prison, man, and he gave me the definition of humility, and it wasn't thinking less of yourself; it was thinking of yourself less. True definition of humility is not thinking less of yourself, but just thinking of yourself less. And
Love
we
it.
just be grateful, man. I'm a grateful individual, man. I don't I sometimes I'll be confused of how I'm not negative, but hey, by the grace of God, man, I get to do something I really like. I've met some wonderful people, man, and I thank you guys for allowing me to be on these platforms because most of my platforms was uh, arrested, mugshot type stuff. So
Well, you might get arrested after this too. Now, I done you said some black stuff. I said some Palestinian stuff. This ain't looking good. You got a weapon and shit. So,
And I'm part white, so I just get away with it.
oh, you
I'm just like,
motherfucker.
see you later.
Yeah. Motherfucker.
can't do nothing to me than what's already been done. And I remember Dave Chappelle said something like that, man. I got a chance to meet some people like Dave Chappelle, man. and he walked and talked with us, man. And what's happening on 38th Chicago is basically do the right thing all over again. Spike Lee joint, just to
Okay.
throw a movie in there, man. And to meet people like him that were big Prince fans, man, and not they just came and took a picture and left, but they walked and talked with us for like hours, bro. And I wish they would have done more as far as bought something for the community, but they came and blessed us with their presence, man, and you get to have the community around people like this because some of the people that I grew up with, ain't never gonna see nobody like that, man. So for us to get to meet people like the Spike Lees, Dave Chappelle, were kind of two of the good dudes, man, that I've met, even like a Jesse Jackson and a lot of the George Floyd family, man. Some of the brothers that his brothers, man, they were some real down to earth type people, man. And I can't imagine losing my loved one in front of the world and having to grieve and having to talk about that almost every day. And anywhere you go, somebody's going to recognize you. I'm not at that yet, but I do have a lot of the students that little brothers and sisters see me when they come to the games. They be like, "I want to play on your flag football team," and I'm like, "Okay, got a year, sixth grade, and hey, ninth grade, I got you."
He's like, riddle me this, and then gives them a riddle. Like, what the hell? Are you some troll? Jesus.
Only way you get on the team.
Only way you got
boy.
a team and a donut. You gotta answer me a fucking riddle.
You got to start recruiting them early, man.
Facts. You gotta get them thinking.
Yeah.
Got to get them thinking, man.
Appreciate you, brother. Love everything that you're doing. Love that you were able to change your life. I know it's extremely hard. Maybe it was easy for you, but I know it's hard for a lot of brothers, a lot of sisters too. Takes a lot. I know my dad had troubles, this and that, and we had some extremely tough years, and it's just hard for a lot of families. So thank you for doing your thing and doing good for your kids. Much appreciation, much love to you and your family.
Man, Joel and B told us to trust the process, man, and I'm trusting the process. I'm not cutting corners, man, and everything's been working out. Of course, I don't have the finances that I would love, and I don't have the car and all that, but it's working out, man. I don't want for nothing, man. I got everything that I need and most of the stuff that I want, so it's gonna work itself out.
Hopefully, a little bit better than Joel and B's knees, but yeah, okay, yep.
Yeah.
And his back.
That process is over.
That process done been dead.
That process has been over for a couple of years now.
Whatever.
Anyways, yes, Marquise Bowie, husband, father, mentor, and also man can dress. He didn't think I was going to say anything, and also author too. But you know what? He can dress too. He didn't think I was going to say anything, but yeah, I'm loving the outfit. I'm loving it.
One of my names was the coordinator. One of my homegirls in high school named me the coordinator, man. And she was like, "I bet your draws match." I'm like,
shut the fuck up.
The man of many titles.
Yeah, man. Many titles. My draws match too. My skin, they brown.
You gotta read the book. I got a story about that, man. How I'm just confused and I'm playing these many roles, man. And it's a story about what is that about? It's about me. And any given day, I'm a different person, man,
Chameleon.
depending on the circumstances, man.
Yep. Adaptability.
Crazy mixed up story.
Yeah.
Crazy mixed up story.
Amazing. All right. Everybody, go get The Last Drop of Mad Dog 3030. Amazon, or if you're in Minnesota, go down to George Floyd Square. You can also get it there. Marquise Bowie, thank you so much for being on. Yeah, and that's it.
As always say, everyone, remember, take care of yourselves.
Or don't.
It's completely up to you. Much love. Peace.
Peace.